All News 92.3 FM, powered by 1010 Wins.
The News Watch never stops. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good afternoon. 51 degrees at 2:40. I'm Lori Metten, and here's what's happening. An investigation is underway into the death of a Flatbush super after he apparently confronted someone in the lobby of the building. A wake is being held this afternoon for the New York City firefighter who suffered cardiac arrest while battling a blaze in Brownsville. President Trump says he will ask the Justice Department and the FBI to investigate some prominent Democrats who had ties to Jeffrey Epstein. The Trump administration cuts a trade deal with several Latin American countries. The British version of Saturday Night Live unveils its creative team ahead of next year's debut. 1010 Wins AccuWeather says clear to partly cloudy, less windy tonight, low 39. Tomorrow starts out sunny, ends with some rain, a windy day on Sunday. Wins News Time 2:41. Let's get you where you need to go. Here's Greg Rice.
Well, here is what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. City bound at the George Washington Bridge upper level is about a 45-minute ride. 30 plus on the inbound lower. Getting out of town, that's not coming easy either. West Side Highway right now, a bit of a slow ride from the 90s on up, but that's the best of it. Northbound Deegan, that's your Bronx, Winter, and across the Upper East River, Clearview, Throgs Neck, what you want. City-bound Midtown Tunnel, Brooklyn-bound Brooklyn Bridge, bunched up across the East River. The bridges to and from Staten Island are behaving, but the westbound Staten Island Expressway slows off the Verrazano all the way to Forest Avenue with a whole lot of exiting traffic over to Howland Hook. Through New Jersey on the Garden State Parkway, this is southbound at exit 136 in Cranford. Big crash. You got a couple of left lanes out, and that's why the parkway is messy either way. South of 78, stay with the turnpike in either direction between Woodbridge and Newark. It is going to treat you a whole lot better than dealing with the Garden State Parkway. A little north of the city on the Cross Westchester Expressway westbound, we are looking at a whole lot of traffic at this point from right off of 684 all the way on out towards the merge with the New York State Thruway because of what looks to be construction. Greg Rice, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
An investigation is underway into the death of a Flatbush superintendent after police say he confronted someone in the lobby of his building.
Brooklyn building superintendent Boren Havoli collapsed and died hours after getting hit in the head by a man he was trying to prevent from entering the building. The man became angry when Havoli told him to remove the scooter from the building entrance. He also was concerned about the man's behavior. He said he was visiting, but there had been a recent rash of package thefts. A verbal dispute escalated, became physical. Hours later, Havoli collapsed in his apartment. The man was questioned and released. The medical examiner's findings are pending. Juliet Papa, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
A wake is being held this afternoon for the New York City firefighter who died while battling a Brooklyn blaze.
The Marine Park Funeral Home preparing for hundreds to gather to pay their respects at the wake for firefighter Patrick Brady today. An 11-year veteran of the department working out of Ladder 120 in Brownsville. It was in Brownsville last Saturday, the 6th floor, on the roof, fighting a fire where the 42-year-old went into cardiac arrest and lost his life. Not only are both of his brothers also the firefighters, Brian and Jimmy, his cousins and uncles as well. Brady's funeral tomorrow morning, supposed to start around 11 a.m. in Bell Harbor at a church there. He leaves behind his wife, Tara. They were married in April of 2023. Glenn Schuck, 1010 Wins, 92.3 FM.
After the release of thousands of documents in connection with the Jeffrey Epstein case and emails in which Epstein alleged that a then reality star, Donald Trump, knew more about Epstein's activities than was previously disclosed, now President Trump is asking for a probe into some prominent names.
In a social media post, Trump says he's asking Attorney General Pam Bondi and the FBI to investigate Epstein's relationships with former President Bill Clinton, former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, and LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman. Next week, the House will vote on whether to compel the Justice Department to release all its Epstein files. Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene told CBS Mornings Trump should not oppose the release.
I think it's a huge miscalculation.
She points out some of Epstein's victims have said Trump did nothing wrong.
It's correspondent Michael Wallace. Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene again says she will introduce a bill for aggressively phasing out H-1B visas and eventually eliminating the program completely. Her proposal comes just days after President Trump defended bringing foreign workers into the U.S. Green's bill would contain an exception for medical professionals, but even that provision would be phased out over 10 years. She says it would also take away the pathway to citizenship. A Hofstra University student has become the school's first ever Rhodes Scholar.
Standing outside the lab where she developed her project on seaweed being used as biofuels that earned her the Rhodes Scholarship, 21-year-old Risa Nelson says she is humbled and honored.
A product of all the prayers and all the support of all the people behind of me.
She plans to study stem cell biology at the University of Oxford outside of London.
I see myself developing the first Afro-Caribbean stem cell line. We can take a stem cell and we can turn it into anything.
She thanked her professor at Hofstra for letting her study in the lab as a freshman, something that is very rare. In her words, he believed in me. Sophia Hall, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM on Long Island.
Texas A&M University has a new policy requiring professors to receive approval from the school president before they can teach and or discuss some gender and race topics in the classroom. This applies to all 12 schools in the system. Texas A&M recently fired a lecturer after a student accused her of teaching a course that recognized more than two genders. New lawsuits are filed in connection with last year's deadly flooding in Central Texas.
8-year-old Abby Pohl and her two sisters were among hundreds of kids staying at Camp Mystic when flash flooding struck the Texas Hill Country on July 4th.
We had no idea that we were sending our 3 daughters to a camp known as Flash Flood Alley.
Abby's sisters survived. She did not. Kristen Pohl and her husband have joined a lawsuit claiming gross negligence on the part of Camp Mystic.
We are just suffering every day.
Jim Ryan, ABC News.
The Trump administration has reached a trade deal with Switzerland that will cut its tariff from 39% to 15%. Administration and Swiss government officials met yesterday after President Trump met with Swiss executives in the Oval Office last week. Switzerland exports pharmaceuticals, watches, gold, and chocolate to the United States. The White House also says it reached a framework of a trade deal with some Latin American countries.
The deal covers 4 countries, Argentina, Ecuador, El Salvador, and Guatemala, with full agreements expected to be signed in about 2 weeks. And it's important to note here, the deal does not include Brazil, which provides about a third of U.S. coffee imports and still faces some of the highest tariffs under Trump's plan.
Correspondent Nicole D'Antonio. If you're walking through Grand Central, you may notice a new smell, but not a bad one.
The usual not-so-enticing smells of the subway have been replaced in the corridor leading to the shuttle with fresh, crisp pine. Patricia stopped in her tracks.
Brings you back to your childhood. You can't beat this. This is amazing.
Does this put you in the mood for Christmas or shopping or both?
Definitely both.
Others didn't smell it at all.
COVID got me, COVID got my nose.
How about you? Do you
feel like, yes, and I usually have a very good sense of smell.
Smell is supposed to be the most powerful of all the senses. Bath & Body Works is banking on this unique campaign to get people into their stores this holiday season. Marla Diamond, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM at Grand Central Terminal.
Live from London, it's Saturday night. That story's coming up next. But first, Wins News Time 2:51. Let's get you where you need to go. Here's Greg Rice.
Well, as you look to get away for the weekend in Westchester County, the Cross Westchester is really not cooperating in the early going. Westbound side of the Cross Westchester, you got 2 left lanes out after exit 3, so just west of the Springbrook Parkway, and that's why the Cross Westchester is at a standstill from the Hutchinson River Parkway. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. City-bound, the George, about a 45-minute upper-level ride, 30 minutes on the inbound lower, the west side. That's going to be the best of it out of town. Lincoln, no more than about 10 either way. Holland, 40 on the outbound ride. Inbound Holland, a mess from the Skyway. The Newark Bay is better. Westbound Newark Bay extension starting to slow getting onto the Newark Bay Bridge as they push a crash off to the shoulder. The Whitestone Bronx bound, the RFK either way very slow. The Clearview Throgsneck combination, that continues to be the best bet across the Upper East River. And in Jersey, Garden State Parkway, this is southbound in Cranford near exit 136. Couple of left lanes out with a crash. You're going to do better either way south of 78. on the New Jersey Turnpike. Greg Rice, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
Let's get a check now of your AccuWeather forecast. Here's meteorologist Brian Thompson.
Lori, it's been a bit of a breezy afternoon, and maybe not quite as windy as it was yesterday, but certainly adding a chill to the air with AccuWeather real field temperatures that are still in the 40s. Now, at the moment, we have a decent amount of cloud cover around, and that's going to be the case at least into the early part of tonight. But the sky will turn out clear to partly cloudy. The breeze will diminish, low 39 in the city, closer to the freezing mark in some suburbs. Early sun, though, will give way to clouds for tomorrow. Maybe a shower at a few spots later on, a high of 52. Cloudy tomorrow night. We'll have a little bit of rain at times. Doesn't look like a lot, though. Low 47 early. Temperatures will rise into the 50s as it turns breezy late. But if you have evening plans tomorrow night, I would have the umbrella handy. Again, there will at least be a few showers moving through, and we could still have a shower at a few spots early Sunday. Most of the time, though, dry as clouds break for some sun. I think the wind will be the big concern Sunday. Winds could gust 30 to 40 miles per hour as temps fall into the upper 40s. And a windy, chilly day Monday with some sun, high 47. Mostly cloudy and 51 right now in Midtown. We're going down to 39 tonight. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's weather station. 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Will American comedy get a laugh out of the Brits? We'll soon find out.
Sky TV will start airing a UK edition of Saturday Night Live next year. Hopes are high in the industry, along with expectations.
Satire's function is to punch up, to speak truth to power, and we all hope it will be given the opportunity to do that.
Comedy writer Jolyon Rubinstein, but TV critic Scott Bryan was.
I think it all comes down to how can they take the ingredients that have made the US show so successful and tailor them specifically to a UK audience.
With British comedy itself ranging from dry and understated to over-the-top slapstick, at least the show's producers will have a pretty broad palette to choose from.
It's correspondent Vicky Barker in London.
1010 Wins.
I love that I get so much news in such a short period of time.
The news I care about.
All news all the time.
1010 Wins.
1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
51 degrees now, cloudy here in the city. It's pretty windy this afternoon. Winds are gusting to 22 miles per hour. The real field temperature is 45. Now, Bloomberg Money Watch.
U.S. employers expect that hirings from the college class of 2026 are going to stay largely flat versus the class of 2025. As layoffs rise and entry-level jobs are filled with artificial intelligence. It's according to the Wall Street Journal, citing the National Association of Colleges and Employers. More than half the employers surveyed say the current job market is described as poor or fair. That is the most pessimistic outlook for the job market since 2020. Of course, the early throes of the pandemic. Wall Street's index is split right now. Dow losing 176, NASDAQ gaining 124, S&P 500 rising 23. Mad O'Day, Bloomberg Money Watch on 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
WINS FM in HD1 New York. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
51 degrees now, a little bit windy. The winds are gusting to 22 miles per hour. We're going to get the AccuWeather update in just a moment. More people get their news from 1010 Wins than from any other radio station in the nation. Swatina Kakar is at the editor's desk. I'm Lori Medden.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM, New York.
Good afternoon. Cloudy, 51 degrees, 3 o'clock. I'm Paul Murnane. Here's what's happening. A man questioned but then released by police in the death of a Brooklyn building superintendent who died after a fight. Juliet Papa with the update straight ahead. If your car was stolen in Brooklyn or Queens, maybe it was swiped by a gang under indictment in what they say was a scheme involving more than 100 stolen rides. Nearly 10 years later, a family wants justice in the police death of a man in a road rage case here in the city. Thanksgiving prep has some shoppers in shock as they get a load of prices as they're stocking up. Some state parks ready to welcome nighttime stargazers for a meteor shower expected next month. We'll tell you where you can go to get in on the show. AccuWeather details on the weekend ahead, but it's a chilly, breezy low of 39 tonight. Quiz News Time 3:01 from the Mercedes-Benz of Edison.com Traffic Center. It's over to Greg Rice.
Now, the Cross Westchester westbound, you don't want it if you have a choice at all. Westbound after exit 3, you got the two left lanes out with construction. So just west of the Springbrook Parkway, you got this work, and you've got a standstill from the hutch on the Cross Westchester westbound, a multi-mile standstill through Jersey. Garden State Parkway is a parking lot, and Cranford southbound, your exit 136. 6. 3 left lanes now shut with a crash. You're not moving from 78 on down northbound Parkway. Bad with rubbernecking out of Clark. South of 78, stay with the turnpike in either direction. And here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. City bound to the George Washington Bridge, good enough to the lower level, better than the upper at least. That's only 15 minutes. Upper's a half hour. West side, best of it out. Lincoln, 10 minutes in. Outbound Lincoln's all right. Holland, 40 on the outbound ride. On the Jersey side, Newark Bay Extension slows out of Liberty State Park over to the Bayonne Bridge. Because of a crash, the Skyway inbound is slower, so the inbound Newark Bay, a better idea. Traffic is sponsored by Plaza Jewish Community Chapel. Greg Rice, 1010 wins at 92.3 FM.
We at Plaza Jewish Community Chapel would like to remind you that candle lighting is at 4:20 this afternoon. Good Shabbos and Shabbat Shalom.
Well, it's Friday. That means it's time to make your weekend plans if the weather cooperates. And what's going on with that? Let's go live to AccuWeather and check in with Brian Thompson. Brian?
Yeah, the weather overall not too bad through the weekend, Paul. I think a lot of the daylight hours are going to end up being dry. We'll have increasing clouds tomorrow. Might have a shower at a few spots late tomorrow, but the best chance for some rain or some showers will be tomorrow night. We don't expect a lot of rain, but certainly during the evening hours, I would have the umbrella handy just in case. And then Sunday, the rain's pretty much gone. Maybe an early shower, but clouds will break for some sun. The wind is going to pick up on Sunday. We could have some wind gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour, and it might feel pretty chilly by the end of the day as temperatures fall back into the 40s. Paul?
And Brian, there are complications this afternoon in the case of a Brooklyn building superintendent who had died after a fight. A man under police questioning has now been released. The NYPD has some questions to answer if they want to make their case. Here's Juliet Papa with the update.
The medical examiner's office says there's been no definitive finding yet in the cause of death of Super Borim Havoli. He collapsed and died hours after a physical confrontation with a man trying to get into the building. Havoli questioned the man about his e-bike blocking the building entrance and his behavior. The man said he was visiting. The Super was concerned about a recent series of stolen packages. They argued then the man hit Havoli in the head with his cell phone. Later on, Havoli returned to his apartment and collapsed. The man was questioned and released, but the DA says the investigation is ongoing. Julia Papa, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
A bill to ban horse-drawn carriages failing today in the City Council. 4 members of the Council's Committee on Health voted against Riders' Law, so it would not move forward to the full Council. The legislation would have phased out the horseless carriage or the horse carriage industry altogether by stopping new licenses from being issued, replacing those carriages with electric alternatives. PETA's Ashley Burns says it was all politics that killed the bill.
They know that it's an immensely popular bill and that New Yorkers want Riders' Law passed. And they were trying to avoid publicly killing the bill. But since they are doing the bidding of the Transit Workers Union, they did want the bill to go away.
The controversial bill was opposed by the Transport Workers Union and Mayor Adams until recently. He came out in support of the law 2 months ago. 8 men are facing federal charges today. They're accused in a years-long car theft scheme. Prosecutors say the crew stole more than 100 vehicles worth millions of dollars and then sold them to unsuspecting buyers all along the East Coast. The men allegedly swiped cars parked in the Bronx and Queens, stashed them away for a while to avoid police heat, and then took steps to disguise the fact that the vehicles were stolen before they unloaded them. Charges include conspiracy to possess and sell stolen vehicles, wire fraud. These charges carry a maximum sentence of 20 years each. 2 to 4 years behind bars. That's the sentence today for a man who was convicted in a vicious subway attack a year ago in East Harlem. Prosecutors say 41-year-old Alberto Jordan was inside the 110th Street subway station holding an emergency exit open so people could come in without paying. And when the security officer told him to stop, Jordan punched him in the face repeatedly, then beat him with a wooden stick. Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg says the case was about accountability for those who would harm workers in the city.
It's imperative that the very people who work for our transit system keep our city moving, our arteries of the city moving, are able to do their jobs without fearing for their safety.
A jury found Jordan guilty on all the counts, including assault, weapons possession. Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch is under pressure today to take action in a decade-old deadly police shooting. Dozens of elected officials sent a letter to the commissioner urging her to reject a judge's finding to dismiss disciplinary charges against an officer who killed an unarmed man in 2016. They want those charges to stand. Public advocate Jamani Williams among those who signed the letter. He tells us it's about justice and an unjust system.
It is hard to watch a system that seems simply designed to protect an officer who's done wrong and forgetting about the family that's been wrong and the person who's died.
Delron Small was fatally shot by then-Officer Wayne Isaacs during a road rage incident in East New York. The case made its way through the courts, with the latest move being a judge's recommendation that the charges against Isaacs be dropped. Others who have signed on include the Brooklyn Borough President, Antonio Reynoso, and Comptroller Brad Lander. New lawsuit today over the planned casino near Citi Field. The U.S. Tennis Association accuses the Adams administration of breaking the terms of its long-term lease in order to help Mets owner Steve Cohen with his plans for the Metropolitan Park Casino and Resort, which would be built close to the USTA facilities in Flushing Meadows. The suit argues that the project poses a serious threat to the U.S. Open and the National Tennis Center. Spokesman at City Hall says they're reviewing that lawsuit. A new deal was in place to settle thousands of lawsuits against the Connecticut-based maker of OxyContin.
A federal bankruptcy judge says he will approve Purdue Pharma's settlement with thousands of victims who sued over opioids. The judge says the agreement requires the Sackler family, which owns Purdue Pharma, to contribute up to $7 billion and give up ownership of the pharmaceutical company. This latest settlement replaces one rejected last year by the U.S. Supreme Court. More details on the new agreement will be released at a hearing next Tuesday.
That's correspondent Linda Kenyon. A suspect in police custody in the shooting of a popular college football coach who was featured in a show on Netflix.
Oakland police say they have made an arrest in the shooting of Laney College athletic director John Beam. Sources telling ABC's KGO-TV the suspect was taken into custody early this morning and had a gun in their possession when they were arrested. Beam remains critically injured after being shot by somebody on the campus on Thursday. Police say it was not an active shooter. It appeared targeted. Beam is widely known in the Bay Area and was the focus of a Netflix documentary for running a program that has repeatedly sent players to the NFL. Alex Stone, ABC News.
51 degrees, cloudy skies over the city, and we're heading on down to 39 tonight. We'll check your weekend AccuWeather forecast and the traffic story on a Friday in just a moment. Gearing up to honor the best of New Jersey, we caught up with some honorees for the Hall of Fame. That story's coming up. We're hearing from Glenn Schuck in just a moment, but right now, Wins News Time 3:11. As we get you where you need to go on a Friday, it's over to Greg Rice.
It's not getting any easier getting you to or across Staten Island. The westbound side of the Staten Island Expressway all loaded up. You got to get there first. The belt's bad from Flatbush Avenue over to Ocean Parkway, and then the Staten Island down Verrazano. Both levels are starting to slow, and then you deal with the real bad stuff. Westbound Staten Island Expressway, a mess all the way to the West Shore. We had the earlier exiting traffic on the westbound Staten Island Expressway at Forest Avenue. That's all cleared up, but that's why the westbound Staten Island Expressway is awful from the Verrazano out to the West Shore Expressway. Jersey-bound side of the Goethals is okay once you're there. It's the Jersey-bound Outer Bridge that's a mess. In New Jersey, Garden State Parkway South coming down to 136 in Cranford. 3 left lanes out with a crash. You got a standstill from 78, a whole lot of northbound rubbernecking too. Stay with the Newark Bay either way. Cross Westchester westbound after the Sprainbrook Parkway. 2 left lanes closed with construction. That's why the Cross Westchester doesn't move from the Hutchinson River Parkway. Greg Rice, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
Let's get a check of that weekend AccuWeather forecast now and some things to consider there as we're making our plans. And here's our meteorologist, Brian Thompson.
Yeah, Paul, we will have a couple of showers to dodge, a little bit of rain this weekend. Most of it, though, coming tomorrow night after what's been a dry day today. We've had clouds and sunshine throughout the afternoon, and the sky is going to turn out clear to partly cloudy as we head through the night. The breeze will be diminishing as well, low 39 in the city, closer to the freezing mark in some suburbs. Any early sun, though, tomorrow will fade behind clouds. Might have a shower in a few spots late in the day, but again, the vast majority of the time tomorrow, rain-free, a high of 52. Best chance for rain will be tomorrow night, probably during the evening hours, especially low 47 early. Then temperatures will rise into the 50s late as the breeze picks up, and it will be quite windy on Sunday. Winds could gust 30 to 40 miles per hour. Clouds and maybe a shower giving way to some sun. Morning high of 56 Sunday, but temperatures will fall into the upper 40s late in the day. And keep in mind, with that wind blowing, it's going to feel pretty cold. Same goes for Monday, a windy, cold day with some sun, high 47. Right now, mostly cloudy and 51 degrees. In Midtown, we're going down to 39 tonight. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's weather station, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
And, Brian, we have another name in New Jersey's amazing place in the history books of music, a member of Bon Jovi, among this year's class of inductees into the New Jersey Hall of Fame.
David Bryan grew up in Edison, attended Rutgers for pre-med, all the while in cover bands with his buddy John Bon Jovi. Then the world changed.
And then he had an idea. He had a song, "Runaway," and I was like, "What about if we go dun 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 dun?" And he was like, "That's good." I go, "I know that's good." And we got a record deal, and
130 million records later, the Jersey guys are back on the road in 2026. And what's it about being from the Garden State that helped his success?
I think like we're like kind of in the shadow of New York City, and I think we just try harder and fight harder, and like, oh yeah, we come from nothing and we're gonna make it.
And next Friday night, it will be John Bon Jovi who inducts Brian into the New Jersey Hall of Fame. Glenn Schuck, 1010 wins, 92.3 FM.
You know, Thanksgiving is quickly rolling up, and some early shoppers are talking about their sticker shock experiences in the grocery aisle.
Actually is more expensive this year than it was. Everything is going up.
This mother says she will have to cut back on what she buys for the big Thanksgiving meal this year.
Yes, you would definitely have to cut back for the prices. Probably 2 meats and the rest side dishes. Prices are sky high.
And this woman is cooking for 14 people.
Everything has significantly gone up. I've noticed the price of gravy maybe a little bit.
Oh, gravy of all things.
Gravy of all things. Can you believe it? You can never have enough of gravy.
No, especially for Thanksgiving. The biggest jump, according to most people here at the grocery store, the price of the turkey. Sophia Hall, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM on Long Island.
Well, you'll take a whiff and maybe say, whoa, we have word that Switzerland is hosting a super smelly competition.
The first thing that hits you at the World Cheese Awards is the smell.
The strange thing is after about an hour or so, you don't really notice it anymore, so that's a bit weird.
Christabel Kames is the